So after many delays, the long-awaited sequel to Top Gun is finally coming out. And the anticipation is certainly giving us all the need for speed. But before we actually get into that movie, because I haven't seen it yet, I think it's only appropriate that I review the original film, which I had never seen before up until right now. Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. This is my review for Top Gun, which came out in 1986, stars Tom Cruise, and is directed by Tony Scott. The movie follows fighter pilot Pete Maverick Mitchell, who is very cocky, arrogant, full of himself, but he is a damn good pilot. And he and his co-pilot Goose fly F-14 Tomcats. They are soon sent to Top Gun, also known as the United States Navy Strike Fighter Tactics Instructor Program. I can see why this is more widely known as Top Gun, because that name is just a mouthful. But the thing is, they get sent there on a technicality. One of their wingmates got spooked out on a recent mission out at sea and basically resigned. He left. These two are sent to Top Gun, much to the dismay of so many other pilots, including Iceman, played by Val Kilmer. So the movie basically plays out like a high school movie, but for fighter pilots. Some kid comes in who's very arrogant, much to the dismay of a lot of other people, and especially the main school bully. But by the end of the day, he proves himself and wins the trust of everyone. This is regarded as one of the most iconic and influential 80s action movies out there. I mean, the 80s had a lot, but Top Gun is one of the big ones. And even though I had never watched this movie until now, Top Gun actually had a big influence on my life. When I was growing up back in the 90s, I used to watch these old VHS tapes that were about fighter jets, whether it was in the Navy, the Air Force, or the Army. And these VHS tapes were actually made by my family on my father's side. And I didn't really know that until a couple of years after being exposed to these tapes, because all I could think about was, wow, these airplanes are so cool. You can actually find these videos on YouTube now, and I'll leave links in the description below if you want to check them out for yourself. But the first one was called Jets, just simply Jets, although the one that you can find on YouTube is basically an extended version of it. The other three were called First Strike Desert Storm. These VHS tapes left a huge impact on me. I fell in love with fighter jets like the F-18, F-14, A-6, A-7, Harrier jet, F-117, F-15, F-16, F-4, F-111, A-10. And there was actually a period of time when I wanted to be a fighter pilot when I grew up. But the older I got, the more I realized, yeah, there are people out there that are far more braver than me that can take on flying in jets, and I'll leave it to them. These VHS tapes were on loop in my household constantly, and they were made in the wake of Top Gun's success. The point I'm trying to make is that this movie had a huge influence on my life without me ever watching it. So I had some expectations going into Top Gun, and it definitely was fun, but I have to admit that there are some aspects about the movie that left me kind of underwhelmed. Like I said earlier, the movie is essentially a high school movie, but with fighter pilots. And it follows a lot of these tropes. You've got the main character and his best friend who are best buds, and the main character is kind of arrogant until something tragic happens in his life. And Tom Cruise does a really good job at playing Maverick. When he is cocky and arrogant, he sells it because he's Tom Cruise. But once we get to the end of the second act and his best friend Goose dies, that really takes a toll on him, and he starts to become more sensible. It takes a while for him to get to that point, but it's a nice piece of character growth that honestly I didn't expect from a movie like this, especially with the first two acts. But Tom Cruise manages to sell it. Val Kilmer plays essentially the school bully. And I gotta say, for everything I've heard about this movie going into it with Maverick and Iceman and how there's kind of a gay subtext going on between the two of them, Iceman is barely a character. Like, he just pops up every now and then but it's not till the very end of the movie where he actually plays an important role. And in terms of the gay subtext, I thought, I mean, you can kind of see it, but it's not really there, no matter how much Quentin Tarantino tries to convince you that it is. For those of you who don't know, there's this 1994 movie called Sleep With Me that has Tarantino in it as an actor. I've never seen the movie myself, but I've seen the clip where Tarantino pretty much breaks down the gay undertones of Top Gun. But honestly, I don't know if that's just part of the film's script, or if this is something that Tarantino actually believes. I mean, the dude's so enthusiastic about film and film history that I wouldn't be shocked if that's actually his own beliefs on the movie. For me, I just didn't really pick it up in this movie. It's not something like you'd see in Too Fast, Too Furious or Hobbs and Shaw. They're laying it out right there. If there is a gay subtext in this movie, it's very much that, a subtext. It is subtle, and you'd have to really dig deep to try to find it. But even then, for the little time Val Kilmer has in this movie, he's pretty good, and I'm curious to see what they do with him in Maverick. Then you have Kelly McGillis as Charlie, Maverick's love interest. And she's very much that love interest that Maverick strikes out with at first, but then he realizes, oh, she's an instructor for Top Gun, and then the two of them bond, they have sex, and they fall in love by the end of the movie. And then Tom Skerritt plays the instructor who flew with Maverick's father at one point. He's pretty much like Captain Pike from Star Trek, where he is definitely serious about instructing new recruits, but when it comes to the main character, he sees something in him to where he gives him a shot. It's cliched. In fact, there's a lot about this movie from the character perspective that is very, very cliche. And as for that volleyball sequence that everyone talks about, I just saw it as female eye candy, nothing more, and I don't really have anything else to say about that sequence because it doesn't go on for very long. Now, with everything I've said so far in this review, you probably think I don't like this movie. That's actually not the case. While everything from the characters and the writing is very cliched, that's not what really makes this movie. What makes this movie is the cinematography and the flight sequences. The way these dogfights are shot and the aerial photography overall is incredible. It doesn't look like this movie used any miniatures, and if it did, they're very convincing miniatures because the aerial dogfights are just breathtaking. The cinematography overall is just outstanding when it comes to shooting these sequences, and the big dogfight at the end of the movie is tense. You're on the edge of your seat, and it's the main reason I feel like this movie has stood the test of time, because of those flight sequences. And the soundtrack is just absolutely rocking. The score itself is pretty good, and the Top Gun theme really does fit the tone of the movie. But then when you get to the songs that are selected for the actual soundtrack, they're all great. They fit that 80s cheese perfectly, with Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone being the absolute standout. I cannot listen to this song right here without thinking of F-14s flying around in dogfights. And that's actually the main reason why I have this Archer shirt on. I didn't actually have anything in direct relation to Top Gun or fighter jets, so this will have to do. Even though it sounded like I had more criticisms about the movie than praise, I actually found this movie very fun, very enjoyable. I may have been a little let down, but the stuff that's good is really good. This movie is pretty much to the 80s what Independence Day was to the 90s. That really corny, over-the-top action movie that just left a huge impact in pop culture. And I'm gonna give it the same rating that I gave the first Independence Day. Good, but not great. Although if I had to pick one of these, I'd say Top Gun wins, because while Independence Day has some incredible and groundbreaking special effects for its time, when it comes to those dogfight sequences, they're very much 90s CG dogfighting sequences. They don't feel real, they don't feel authentic the same way the aerial dogfight sequences in this movie feel. And also Top Gun is a lot shorter. It doesn't feel as dragged out or full of padding the way Independence Day does. Top Gun is under 2 hours, gets in, gets out, does exactly what it has to do. If you've never seen Top Gun before, don't go into it expecting a masterpiece in the vein of other 80s action movies like The Terminator, RoboCop, Aliens, or Predator. Go into it expecting something corny, but very fun regardless. And there you go, that's my review for Top Gun. Now, I'm super excited for Top Gun Maverick. Even though I'd never seen the first movie until just recently, Top Gun Maverick just seems like it's going to be fantastic, and based on the reviews, it is. So I can't wait to watch it. I'm probably not going to be able to review it until after Memorial Day because this is going to be a busy weekend for me, not just in terms of seeing the movies, but also because I'm going to Star Wars Celebration, May 27th. So if you happen to be there and see me, don't be afraid to say hi. But until then, I want to know what you guys think about Top Gun. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one. Hello everyone, I just want to say thank you all for watching my review for Top Gun. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.